It's Sewell back here with another video, and today I'm going to be giving y'all my official 2022 NCAA tournament predictions. I know this video might be coming out a little late after the games have already started, so I do apologize for that. I've been really busy. But anyways, I'm going to show y'all my bracket and give my predictions for these games. Very excited. March Madness is one of my favorite times of the year for sports, and I love me some college basketball. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we're starting off with the West bracket. Gonzaga versus Georgia State. I think Gonzaga is obviously going to win that, so they advance. Memphis and Boise State. Now, this one was a really hard one for me to predict. Now, before I get into in-depth about some of these games, I went and did my research on each one of these teams, except for the ones I knew they were going to be blowouts. But I did my research, and I based my predictions off of what I've seen and the statistics and some of the games I've seen this season. So for this one with Boise versus Memphis, it's going to be a close game, but I have Memphis winning this one. Yeah, UConn and New Mexico State. New Mexico State's had a really impressive season, considering that they're a small team, and they've definitely improved. UConn, they've been a really good team this year, one of the top teams in the Big East, but I got UConn winning this one. Next, we got Arkansas and Vermont. I don't think this one's going to be close. I think Arkansas is going to blow them out. Next, we got Alabama versus Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame, they were one of the first four teams, and they got in after winning double overtime, and they looked really impressive in that game. Alabama, though, I think will win this, but Alabama is known to be very inconsistent, so I would not be surprised if Alabama loses this game. But I have Alabama beating Notre Dame. Next up, we got Texas Tech versus Montana State. I think Texas Tech's going to win that one pretty easily. Next up, we got my Michigan State Spartans going up against Davidson. I think Davidson might be a little bit of a surprise for the Spartans. I think Davidson will give them a good game, but I think the Spartans will pull out and get the win. And next up, we got Duke versus Cal State Fullerton. Duke's going to win that one. I don't. If Duke loses this game, then it's going to be one of the biggest upsets of all time. Next, we got the east side of the bracket. We got Baylor versus Norfolk State. Baylor should win this game, and I think they will. Then, we got my North Carolina Tar Heels, the number 8 seed going up against Marquette. Marquette has surprised some teams in the past, but I think North Carolina is going to win this one. I don't see why we shouldn't. Next, we got St. Mary's versus Indiana. Now, this one was kind of hard for me to predict because Indiana's had some good points in their season, and they've also had some games where they looked pretty bad. St. Mary's has been a huge surprise this year. They've beaten Gonzaga, and St. Mary's is a team that's really good shooting the ball. And it's going to be a close game, but I have St. Mary's winning this one. Next, we got UCLA versus Akron, and UCLA is going to win that one. I don't see them losing that one. Next, we got Texas versus Virginia Tech. I think that Texas will give Virginia Tech a close game, but Virginia Tech has been playing absolutely amazing in the last couple games. I think Virginia Tech's going to beat Texas. Next up, we got Purdue versus Yale, and I think Purdue's going to win that one pretty easily. Purdue's one of the best teams in the nation, but I do think Purdue will choke, but we'll get to that later. Next up, we got Murray State versus San Francisco. Now, Murray State has had an incredible year. They've only lost twice. And San Francisco's had a great year too. But San Francisco, I think, is going to beat Murray State. And I think it's going to be one of the best games of the tournament. And the last one from the East bracket, we got Kentucky versus St. Peter's. Kentucky's going to win that. Let's move on to the South side of the bracket. We got Arizona versus Wright State. Arizona is going to win that one really easily. Next, we got TCU versus Seton Hall. This is going to be a really good game. Now, Seton Hall has had their ups and downs. TCU, they've definitely improved from the last couple seasons. And I think TCU is going to beat Seton Hall, but I think it's going to be a very close game. Next, we got UAB versus Houston. I think UAB might surprise Houston a little bit by making it close in the first half of the game, but I think Houston's going to pull away and win it. Next up, we got Illinois versus Chattanooga. I think Illinois is going to win that one pretty easily. Now, this next game, I think, is going to be one of the best games of the tournament, and it's the first one, and it's going to be the first official round of 64 game. It's going to be number 6, Colorado State versus 11, Michigan. And what I mean by number 6 is not number 6 in the nation. I meant by seed, but we're just ignoring that. Let's move on. I think that I really want Colorado State to win because I'm not a Michigan fan. For those that know, I do not like the Michigan Wolverines and I do not like their coach. But I have to say Michigan wins, even though I do not want them to. Next, we got Tennessee and Longwood. Tennessee should win that, no question. This next one is Ohio State versus Loyola Chicago, and Loyola Chicago has been known to pull upsets in the past, and Ohio State this year has choked a lot of games, and Ohio State I feel like has been overrated at times. Yes, they've beaten some good teams, but they've also lost to teams they shouldn't have, so I think Loyola Chicago is actually going to upset Ohio State. I think that they'll move on to the round of 32. Next up, we got Villanova versus Delaware. Villanova is going to win that one by a huge margin. Providence and South Dakota State. Providence has been a very surprising team this year, and they've been really fun to watch. And they were first in the Big East, and I think Providence is going to win that one pretty handily. Next, we got LSU and Iowa State. LSU is going to win that one. Iowa State has had a really good team this year. Next, we got one of my other favorite teams, the Wisconsin Badgers, going up against Colgate. I think Wisconsin's going to win this one really easily. And if they don't, then that's just going to be a huge disappointment. Next, we got 7-seeded USC versus number 10 seed Miami. As much as I like USC, I think that they're going to choke. I think Miami's going to pull the upset. And then next, we got second-seeded Auburn versus 15 Jacksonville State. Auburn had such an impressive season this year, but down the stretch, they just lost a bunch of games. But Auburn's still a solid team. They're going to get past them and move on to the round of 32. Now on to the round of 32. We got Gonzaga versus Memphis. Gonzaga is going to win that one, I think, pretty easily. Next, we got UConn and Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to win this, but I think that UConn will give them a very close game. Next, we got Alabama and Texas Tech. I think Alabama, as I mentioned before in the first round, they're a team that chokes. And I think they're going to lose this one to Texas Tech. Next, we got Michigan State versus Duke. This is a really tough one to predict because Duke has been really good this year, but I really despise Duke. And people that know me know that. I do not like Duke at all. And I hope my Michigan State Spartans beat them. And I am predicting them to, just like they did a couple years ago when Zion was on Duke. They ended up getting beat by Michigan State. I think Michigan State's going to win this one as well. All right, moving on to the east side of the bracket for round of 32, we got Baylor versus North Carolina. Now, as much as I'm a North Carolina fan, I do not think they will beat Baylor. But it will be a very good game. But Baylor just has the experience right now. They still have players from last season. In North Carolina, they're still improving. They're still getting back into the mix of things. But I don't know, man. I got to say Baylor, but I really hope the Tar Heels win. Mary's and UCLA. I gotta say, this is going to be one of the best games of the tournament. I want to say UCLA, but at the same time, St. Mary's has been so good this year. I'm going to say St. Mary's upsets UCLA, and I know that may be wrong, but that's what I'm going for. So we got Virginia Tech versus Purdue. That's going to be a very close game. Purdue has been good this year, yes. Virginia Tech, too. Virginia Tech has been one of the biggest surprises. I'm going to say Virginia Tech beats Purdue. It's a very bold prediction, but I'm going to say Virginia Tech, the Hokies, they're on a roll, and I'm going to say they upset Purdue. Next, we got Kentucky and San Francisco. I think Kentucky's going to win that one. I think San Francisco will be kind of close early, but Kentucky will pull away. Next up, the south side of the round of 22.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Next up, the south side of the round of 32. I want to say, okay, Arizona and TCU. Arizona should win this. I think they'll win it by around 15 points, but TCU will make it close in the beginning. Next up, we got Houston and Illinois. I did my research on this one. Illinois haven't been that consistent at times. They've struggled against teams that they shouldn't have. And I'm going to say Houston beats them. Why not? I'm going to say Houston beats Illinois. Next, we got Tennessee versus Michigan. Michigan's going to get blown out, and I feel like Tennessee's going to move on. I just think Michigan, over the last, 10 games, they just really been disappointing. So Tennessee's going to win. Next, we got Villanova versus Loyola Chicago. I'm going to say Villanova wins, but Loyola Chicago will give them a very close game. They're going to give it all on the court, but I just don't think it'll be enough. Round of 32 for the Midwest side of the bracket, we got Kansas versus Creighton. I think this might be a really solid game. 2 birds as their mascot. I think it's going to be a very good game. I'm looking forward to watching this one. But I have Kansas winning this in a very close game. I think Creighton's going to kind of surprise Kansas a little bit, but Kansas is going to win. Now, this one's going to be really hard to predict because Iowa has been good, and they've been really good shooting the ball. They've been a fantastic shooting team, and Providence has been good. I kind of talked about them earlier, so I know I'm taking forever with this prediction, so I'm going to hurry it up and say Providence wins. Next, we got LSU and Wisconsin. That's going to be a cool game, but I think Wisconsin's going to win that one. Now, this next one is going to probably surprise y'all, but I have Miami beating Auburn. And I know people will be like, Christian, what type of prediction is that? But that's just my opinion. I think Auburn has been a disappointing team at times this year, and I think Miami's going to surprise Auburn and get the win. Now we are in the Sweet 16, and we got Gonzaga versus Arkansas. Going to be a great game, and I think part of my reason for this prediction is kind of biased, but I just don't want to see Gonzaga win. I honestly don't. Just a lot of stuff going on with there's just been a lot of conspiracies and just controversy surrounding Gonzaga over the past couple years. And I'm still salty about them beating my South Carolina Gamecocks a couple years ago. But North Carolina beat them, so all's good. But anyways, jokes aside, I think this is going to be a great game. It's probably going to go into overtime, but I have Arkansas beating Gonzaga. Next, we got Texas Tech and Michigan State. They stopped a couple years ago, and Texas Tech won. But I'm going to say Michigan State gets revenge and beats Texas Tech. Now for the east side of Sweet 16, I think Baylor's going to beat St. Mary's, but St. Mary's I feel like they're going to get tired out, and they're going to lose by around 15 points. We got Virginia Tech and Kentucky. Virginia Tech's going to get blown out. They have a great defensive team at times, and they can do well rebound the ball, and they're great at hustling. But Kentucky, with their experience and with all the stars on Kentucky, I think Kentucky's going to beat Virginia Tech. The Sweet 16 in the South bracket, Arizona and Houston, I think Arizona is going to win that one by around 20 points. Next, we got Tennessee and Villanova. I want to say Tennessee beats Villanova. It's going to be a really close game, but I think Tennessee just has the advantage around the board. They're bigger. And from what I've seen statistically, I think the Volunteers will beat them. All right, next we got. Okay, for the Midwest side of the bracket for the Sweet 16, Kansas versus Providence. I want to say Kansas wins this one. Kansas can shoot the ball really well. And I feel like with the experience that they have in the number 1 seed, I don't see why they would lose to Providence. Wisconsin, Miami. I think that's going to be a really close game, but I have Wisconsin winning that one. We're almost at the Final Four next. We're at the Elite 8, and this is going to be a tough one. Arkansas and Michigan State. You know, Arkansas has been a really fun team to watch this year, in football and in basketball. It's going to be hard to predict because Michigan State, one of my favorite teams, Arkansas has been a very impressive team for me. I've really enjoyed watching them play. Arkansas is better statistically, and I do think that they'll win. I think Arkansas will beat Michigan State. And next, we got Baylor and Kentucky. That's going to be a very huge game, but I think Kentucky's going to beat Baylor. I don't think Baylor's going to go back-to-back. I just don't see it happening, and Kentucky's going to advance to the Final Four. Arizona and Tennessee. I gotta go with Arizona. I mean, they've only lost 3 games this season. Yes, they're in the Pac-12, going up against an SEC team, but I think Arizona's just better across the board, and I think they'll get the win. And then the final Elite Eight matchup, Kansas and Wisconsin. As much as I like Wisconsin, I don't think they're going to beat Kansas. They'll probably lose by around 10 points, but that's just my prediction. You know, I'm trying not to be as biased as possible, but at the same time, I'm just going by what I've researched. And now we've reached the Final Four. So for the Final Four, we got Arkansas versus Kentucky and Arizona versus Kansas. Arkansas versus Kentucky. I'm going to say Kentucky wins this, but it's going to be a very close game between two very good SEC teams. Oh, man, I really want to see Arkansas beat Kentucky, but I'm going to say Kentucky moves on to the championship game. And for Arizona and Kansas, this one I had a really tough time deciding on because Arizona has been such a good team this year, and Kansas has been too. And as much as I don't want to see Kansas and Kentucky playing the national championship again, I think it will happen. I think Kansas will beat Arizona. National championship game. This is being played in New Orleans. Man. This one was a hard one to predict too, because Kentucky at times has had a tough time shooting the ball. They're a great rebounding team. Kansas has been a great shooting team, like I've mentioned, but they also have some solid big men and guards. Kentucky has some solid guards like Kellen Grady, and then they have some solid big men too. It's going to be a really tough one to predict, but I'm going to say Kansas actually beats Kentucky. I'm going to say Kansas wins this one 75-68. Well, there you have it. That's my 2022 NCAA tournament bracket and predictions. I hope you all enjoyed this. Comment down below what you think and who you may have differently. I really appreciate y'all for watching. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. And if you watch to the end, y'all are the real OGs. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.